when you've lost a right-wing MAGA federal judge and you're Donald Trump, things are not going well for you. This is off the week where Donald Trump had a series of losses at the appellate court level up to the United States Supreme Court level. Everything about his immigration and deportation program is going awry. And now it looks like his ICE and his federal officers deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen born in New Orleans in 2023. They just sent her to Honduras with her mother because her mother in Spanish wrote a note that said she wanted to have the child deported. The child's a U.S. citizen. Even Judge Terry Doughty, right, the judge that MAGA likes so much and ruled so many times against the Biden administration that they started funneling cases to his Western District of Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana courthouse and courtroom. Even Terry Doughty had to say out loud that he has deep suspicion that this child, who is known by her initials, VML, was sent illegally, unconstitutionally, and without due process as a U.S. citizen to Honduras. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Legal AF. You're not going anywhere. You're staying right here. Now, when you lose Judge Doughty, who says out loud he has deep suspicions this child's constitutional rights were violated, that's saying something. Because normally I would do a hot take about, well, another MAGA Trumper judge just ruled against the Biden administration in Terry Doughty. I mean, he ruled in a series of things against the Trump administration, especially around vaccines and COVID. But he's back. Now, he uses all the bells and whistles and all the nomenclature of MAGA. Like at one point, even though on the one hand, he was saying the right thing that was terrible for the Trump administration was, I want the mother on the phone. Don't tell me about a handwritten note. I want evidence. We're going to have a hearing on the 16th of May about this issue in my courtroom because the things you're telling me, I don't know that for a fact. I need evidence. He said, get this woman on the phone. And they had a report because when he started the hearing, his understanding, as he put on the record, here's the nomenclature problem for him. He said, my understanding is the plane with the mother and the 2-year-old U.S. citizen now deported without due process is over the Gulf of America. I'm like, oh my God, even then you got to say Gulf of America. And they said he ordered the Trump lawyers to get the woman on the phone. They said, we already released her. Oops, we already released her into Honduras. Well, they're going to have a lot of explaining to do at the hearing on May. Let's step back for a minute. I could just do a whole blooper reel if it wasn't so devastating of Donald Trump and his Department of Justice and those around him and their screw-ups. You know, the brief, that's the internal attorney-client privileged memo undermining the case that they have in New York being filed with the judge just a couple of days ago, right? Outing the address for Armando Abrego Garcia's wife so that she has to move, right? Statements made by Pam Bondi in another high-profile case involving Luigi Mangione, in which she so viciously attacked him that she's polluting the jury pool in the future, and she got chastised by a federal judge. Now you've got, I mean, I'm not done, by the way. I could literally I think I'm going to do a hot take just on all of their screw-ups and mistakes. Now you've got Judge Doughty that even he had to say, I mean, when I first read it, I'm like, 2-year-old citizen deported without due process? That sounds terrible. What kind of country do we live in? We live in an out-of-control federal bureaucracy run by Donald Trump and a bunch of lame brains in the Immigration Enforcement Bureau. This is what happens when there's a brain drain leaving you with lame brains left over in all the departments. What do we think would happen? We think that only the untalented and the people that were terrible employees got canned by DOJ? All those 40, 50, 60,000 employees federal, all those Department of Justice personnel at the highest levels who had been there for the most amount of years, walking out the door. We thought that was going to be a good thing for how they operate. When if you're a sport team and you lose half your starters and now you got to call up from AA and single A, what do you think's going to happen in the game? Terrible, terrible things. And that's what's happened. So when I first heard about the 2-year-old deported without due process, I had to rub my eyes first. And then I said, well, let me look into this a little bit more. Western District of Louisiana. That's Trump country. That's deep, deep ruby red. What judge? Doughty? That guy? That guy's the guy they go out of the way to put their cases in front of if you're MAGA Trump. And now even he had to rub his eyes and say, why did we deport her? She's a U.S. citizen. Now, by the way, just to end the story where it's going to end up, she has the right, if the mother hasn't kidnapped her, to come back to the United States if she's been improperly deported. She's got a birth certificate that has been filed with the court that's been redacted that shows she was born in New Orleans in 2023. Even while Donald Trump's birthright citizenship issue, which I know is at the bottom of this, his argument that the 14th Amendment doesn't say what it says, and that just because if her parents are illegal or undocumented or here temporarily, she's not a U.S. citizen. She's got a U.S. birth certificate. She is a U.S. citizen, and she'll be able to come back through a process. But you got the father and the mother apparently at odds. This is a little bit like 25 years ago, Elian Gonzalez, where the mother took a raft from Cuba, died in the process. Elian shows up, and this little 5-year-old, they won't return him to Cuba because the aunt and the uncle want to keep him here in Miami. Eventually, the kid did go back because there was a father, and the father wanted him back in Cuba. And now I think the kid became a state senator eventually in Cuba, a national hero. But it's sort of like that, right? Mother and father obviously not getting along. Mother gets deported. Mother says, I'm taking the 2-year-old with me. They say, well, how do we know that? Oh, let me write you a note. I want to take my U.S. citizen daughter with me. What about the father? This is the half-wits that are running immigration. You wonder why the policies are failing. It's not only in they're unconstitutional on their face, but in their execution. Idiots so bad, MAGA federal judges have to call them out. So the kid's going to come back, hopefully. The father filed a petition with a proposed guardian who wants the kid back. So you have this kind of underlying family dispute, child custody dispute going on. And the solution for ICE and the Trump administration is, she's a citizen, deport her. God, flush her down the toilet and send her out of the United States. So judges got to deal with this now. Now this against the backdrop of new polling numbers that just came out against Donald Trump that are terrible. 60 to 70% of America think he's gone too far. You think? They think his policies have gone beyond his powers. And Donald Trump, if dollars to donuts, I'm telling you, the guy runs his administration based on polling numbers and what Wall Street tells him and what business executives tell him to think. And that's why we see this erratic change in policy. Oh, I'm going to do tariffs all over the world, 23%. Oh, Jamie Dimon on line 1. Walmart executive in your Oval Office. Maybe we'll pump the brakes on tariffs 2 days, 3 days later. Immigration, let's take on the Supreme Court. Bunch of phone calls, bunch of bad press, bunch of polling that says America doesn't want that. Let's try to get Abrego Garcia back. So this erratic behavior, this sort of lurching from one constitutional crisis to the next is no good for the country and no good for Donald Trump's presidency, and his polling numbers show it. If the midterms were held today, and I wish they were, there would be a red wedding from Game of Thrones. Forget red wedding. This would be a slaughter of anything with an R next to its name. The Democrats would regain power in the House and the Senate, which is what we need to do. Just have to hold that thought for another, year and 3/4. And then we're going to do that. And Donald Trump knows it. He's trying to accomplish everything on the Project 2025 wish list that he can. Maximum lethal damage, full frontal assault on our democracy in the shortest amount of time because he knows he's going to be lame duck in a year and 3/4. And this is just a symptom of a deeper disease when you deport a 2-year-old citizen. That is just a symptom of a deeper disease. These people are not ready for prime time. You'd think they were never in office before. I thought Donald Trump was president once before. He shouldn't be looking for where the light switches are in the White House. He should know where everything is. But we'll continue to follow, and I'll let you know everything about VML and about the family custody battle underneath and about whether this poor 2-year-old born in New Orleans is going to have to live her life in Honduras, even though, somebody should tell her she's got the entitlement to a blue passport in her back pocket. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Legal AF. Take a moment, if you can, This is a subscription drive. I almost couldn't say it. Hit the button. It's free. The larger we get, we're going to hit about 600,000 by the middle of next week of subscribers. The bigger we get, the more content I can put on here, the more contributors I can put on here. We're adding, a couple of amazing new people. Sidney Blumenthal, amazing journalist, writer, wrote the definitive piece on Abraham Lincoln, 4 volumes, formerly in the Clinton White House. Dr. Sean Wilentz, Princeton historian. They're going to be coming on, putting everything we're watching in historical context. And that's going to be some amazing new content added on here with the other 10 or 12 contributors. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.